Welcome along to Aston Villa from the stands. If you are new around here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching, hit a like and get involved in the comments, whether it's in the live or on replay, because today is all about the good, the bad, and the Unai versus Arsenal. What does that entail? Well, we'll be debriefing very, very specific points about the weekend's action. Of course, I've already done my match reaction raw and live, and I must say, anyone who has watched it, I do apologise. The audio on it is terrible, and I didn't realise until after I uploaded it. So apologies on that. But if you did see it, one little thing I would suggest, go have a look at the comment section on that video, because it is absolutely crazy. Got some background music as well. I love that. But yeah, listen, the comment section on that video is nuts, but we're actually going to be doing a proper breakdown today of the good, the bad, and the Unai. So make sure you smash the like and let's get into it. And big up, of course, to Jamesy, to Rohan, to Michael Huggins, and to Kessex6 who are in the chat live and direct right now. Right. The features and points as well. And feel free to give your views on what you thought was good, bad, and ugly. But let's start with the good. The good of the weekend. Of course, the result was not what we wanted. Of course, the idea of getting 3 points at Villa Park, first game over the season, was not exactly what we wanted. However, we did want to see a performance from Aston Villa, and I think there are some positives to take from that game for sure. So my first good is the one and only Morgan Rogers, and I know this guy has received a lot of plaudits, a lot of praise, and about time really, because for me, the biggest thing that I would like to talk about with Morgan Rogers is how many of you Villa fans recently have had people message you who haven't watched Aston Villa, go, did you see that Morgan Rogers? Who is this Morgan Rogers? How good was Morgan Rogers? Morgan Rogers was amazing for you. How many people basically have experienced what I would say is praise from opposition fans, from neutral fans, who've basically told you how good Morgan Rogers is? Big up to Goatser, who's in the house as well tonight, one of our longest serving members, absolute legend, 3 years in the clan. And hello, Hope Heaven TV as well. Right. Let's get into this then, because as I said, it is, for me, the Morgan Rogers show. That was one of the biggest positives that we saw from the weekend. Number one was that Morgan Rogers changed position to what I would have expected. Morgan Rogers actually played in what I would say is the number 10 role, the second striker, however you want to play it. Now, predominantly last season, correct me if I'm wrong, but John McGinn or Yuri Tillemans basically took up that role or position behind Ollie Watkins. And ultimately, Morgan Rogers found himself out on the left. The adjustment of Morgan Rogers playing as that second striker was massive for me. And what I thought Morgan Rogers did so well, and what I thought Morgan Rogers was really effective at, was picking up the ball on the half turn, in the pockets of spaces, and being direct. And all I seem to remember from memory is Morgan Rogers running rings around Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. I thought he was a strong, solid ball carrier. And probably the most noticeable thing for me is the way in which Morgan Rogers was so calmly able to bash people off the ball with his strength. I thought he made Thomas Partey and Declan Rice look bang average. Now, this is an interesting tweet I'm going to share on the screen right now for you, which is why I always say, watch football with your eyes, not the stats. And I want to show you this one right now. And this is Arsenal fan, I guess, taking the piss out of Morgan Rogers. He said Morgan Rogers ran the show and comes up with these stats. 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 shots on target, 0 shots off target. The expected goals and assists are very low. And essentially doesn't cross the ball and how he lost the ball a lot. But yet he saves the 68% pass completion at the bottom, which is obviously a key stat. Now, why is this what I always say is an important reason? Listen, don't watch football through stats. Watch football with your eyes. And this tweet right here proves to me the reason why you should do that. Don't ever look at stats. Watch it with your game, with your eyes. And that is the thing that I must have to say to all of you. And that tweet for me backs it up. It's an absolute bollocks tweet. It's an absolute clickbait tweet. It's someone who's trying to show to you that actually, you know, almost tell me you haven't watched the game by showing me that stat. By the way, big up to the Sasky Guna, aka Moss, in the house. And yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. He said about watch the game. Absolutely. But yeah, the stats do help some elements, but you've got to. And he, of course, is an Arsenal fan. And yeah, you should have probably beaten us last season, Arsenal. But this season round, for me, Villa dominated and they didn't come away with the points. And there we go. Big up as well to Michael, who says that Rodgers only played 13 Prem games. Big up to Richard Child as well. Saying he's fucking ace. Big up to Vamos VJ and Freedom Fighter, who was disappointed as well. So I just want to clarify that point again. Never, ever, ever, ever watch football without watching it. And don't ever go straight to the stats. Because this guy here, it actually rattled me to feel that someone... I was thinking to myself, it's got to be clickbait. It's got to be someone trying to fish an opinion. It's got to be someone who wants to debunk it. Everyone knows that Morgan Rodgers was Aston Villa's best player. Everyone knows that he had the best impact on the game. And that was disappointing to see, really, that such a fan, wanted to criticize Morgan Rodgers in that way. So, yeah, you need both the stats and your eyes. And the stats that he's showing there, you could say, why is Morgan Rodgers expected goals and assists low? But also, you could also want to look at successful dribbles. Where's that stat? Where is successful dribbles on that stat? Where is take-ons? Where is, heat maps of where he was popping up? Give me those stats, and I'm listening. And Rachel's right. He wasn't just Villa's best player, but yeah, probably best player on the pitch, actually, Michael. You're right. And apparently Moreno is in, and less party time. You've got to, you know it, because that Thomas Partey, for me, looked bang average at the weekend. So that's the first element of good that I want to be sharing with you guys. And I believe that, for me, was part one of it. And by the way, big up to everyone in here. But yeah, thank you for coming in. Make sure you smash the like. And of course, as well, thank you to all your comments and join it. Big up Freedom Fighter says, you're a legend. Want to say that that day after subscribing. Appreciate it. So the next person I want to focus on the good is, of course, none other than young 18-year-old Kosta Nedejelkovic. We have to give this guy praise. And I'll tell you why we've got to give this guy praise. Because there's no harder ordeal than coming on at halftime, or not even halftime. It was more like, 24 minutes into the game, something like that. Kosta Nedejelkovic coming on for his home debut against Martinelli, who, by the way, I don't rate Martinelli highly. I don't actually rate Martinelli that highly. But the thing about Martinelli is that against Aston Villa, he seemed to be Arsenal's output. He seems to be Arsenal's outball. Martinelli was trying to get at Matty Cash 1v1. And Kosta Nedejelkovic having to come on against Martinelli, who was up to match tempo and speed, did an incredible job. And not only did he do an incredible job of containing Martinelli, but actually, for me, Costa started showing his attacking output as well in the second half, trying to get around Leon Bailey, trying to overlap and get into good positions. And I just think that at 18 years old, to do what he did, his future is bright. And it almost seems poignant because, as VJ has said in the chat, that is Cash out long term. Matty Cash is out for 4 weeks, a month. And therefore, you do have to say this is time for Kosta Nedejelkovic to now get a run in this Aston Villa team. And I will be honest, I'm absolutely fine with that. In fact, I'm more than fine. I'm very comfortable with the idea that Kosta Nedejelkovic is going to be starting at right back for us. Because I was always a little bit worried about maybe what Costa could do defensively. Would he be able to handle one-on-one situations? Would he be able to keep, some of the top Premier League wingers quiet? Would he be able to, match that pace? Because it's totally different to where he's come from. And actually, what he did against Martinelli, who by no means of a stretch is a very, what I would say, for a youngster, is a very experienced Premier League player in terms of the minutes and years that he's had under his belt, did a superb job. So if I was to take away two good points about Aston Villa at the weekend, the two good takeaway points for me are, of course, as I said, Kosta Nedejelkovic, and, of course, Morgan Rodgers. Two young prospects, two up-and-come players, two players who probably will start to be regular If not, must-have names on the team sheets. So that's my first points in the good. Anyone else in the chat want to add any more goods from the Aston Villa side? I know we've got Moskin in here, who the top Canadian gooner, who's going to try and give us some Arsenal goods. But from an Aston Villa perspective, does anyone else want to add any good points that they want to add about that? I've gone with Morgan Rogers and Kosta Nedejelkovic. Is there any other players you think that deserve a shout out and mention? Not even players, maybe any tactics, maybe the fans, etc. Anyone thinking there should be a good in there, then do let me know. But big up to everyone, and make sure you're smashing the like button on that. Because yeah, it's a very good concept to be able to shout out two youngsters on their home Premier League debut who really did take it by storm. Michael also wants to add Yuri Tillemans. I think Yuri Tillemans and Onana were slow burners in the game for me, because I felt in the first 25 minutes, Arsenal dominated the ball. They were passing the ball very passively, not progressively, but Onana and Tillemans didn't seem to be able to get to the pace and the tempo of it. However, after that Leon Bailey injury, Villa then dominated, I thought, the second stage of the first half. And I thought Yuri Tillemans and Onana came into that. And then they took control for the first part of the second half. So I do agree on that. I thought they were brilliant in there. And Ian Maatsen, for me, it's only a matter of time before he starts in terms of the good. Again, I thought he looked good coming off the bench. It isn't quite enough for me to give a whole section of a shout out, but I think Ian Maatsen coming off the bench was another highlight for us, though. And I really, really am excited to see Kosta on the right, Ian Maatsen on the left. It's going to be beautiful. So there are my goods. Let's get into the bad then. Let's get into the bad. There's two real crunch key points that I want to talk about the bad. And I've made sure I've written these down so I'm not waffling and I stay on task and focus of this, because these are 2 points. I'm going to talk about, first of all, the easier bad, which is the one that is staring us right in the room, face, the elephant in the room. It is Ollie Watkins. It's Ollie Watkins. It's bad because Ollie Watkins is going to cause a conundrum soon, in my opinion. The Ollie Watkins conundrum is going to be this. Without stating the obvious, he needs to score against Leicester City. If he does not score against Leicester City, you're going to see some extreme pressure coming from himself and the fan base and John Duran knocking on the door. Because Ollie Watkins now, as we know, the performance at the weekend wasn't good enough. It's not, and I'm not going to take ages to talk about his finishing, because we know that he should have had a brace at the weekend. Yes, David Raya, as I said in my video, even if you didn't get it, because the audio quality was so bad, but I said David Raya, top save, but Ollie made it easy for him. That second save, Ollie made it easy for him. It had to be more on the corner. The first one is inexcusable. But it's not just that of Ollie's performance that is why it's in the bad category for me. I'm not going to just criticize a player for having a bad game in front of goal. My actual criticism of Ollie Watkins is that his hold-up play looks so rusty. So rusty. First touch was like a trampoline. The ball wasn't sticking to him. His decision-making when he did have the ball was really careless. It was in the second half, just before he got subbed off. Even when he did retain the ball, his next pass was loose. Arsenal would pick up the ball. They would then go on the counter. Twice that happened in a row when Ollie received the ball. And those sort of things for me is why it's a problem, because Ollie's all-round game has always been a strength. Ollie's all-round game of running channels, holding the ball up, being a menace, is why he was such a good striker always before he went on that amazing goal-scoring season that he had last year. And it's not a thing that fans could turn around and go, Josh, you can't criticize Ollie after last season. How can you criticize him? As many people know, I am an Ollie Watkins major fan. I love Ollie Watkins. Absolutely adore him. Like, he's on the back of my phone case. Like, always will. Always have been. My handmade shirt on the back of my phone case, because Ollie Watkins, for me, is someone that I love as an all-round footballer. Where he's come from non-league to basically the rise of the Premier League, it's a fantastic story. And last year couldn't have been better for him. And it was icing on the cake, his Euros goal. However, we have to now demand standards as a football club. And standards is going to go on to my second point of the good in a minute. We have to demand standards. And Ollie Watkins knows that his level of performance against West Ham at Villa is not the standard he knows he's at, nor the fan base knows he's at. But where you've got someone now like John Duran sat lurking in the shadows saying, "Oh, Gaffer, give me minutes, give me game time. I've already scored. I need more than just my 25, 30-minute run out." There will come a time where Ollie Watkins' place will be questioned again if he does not score. And I know there are some fans in the fan base who are telling me, "Josh, John Duran's got to start against Leicester City this weekend. Ollie needs to come off the bench and be an impact sub." I've heard that. And if you are one of these people, let me know if you are and if you've got a reason why. And again, there's no judgment from me in that. I just want to know, are you someone who genuinely believes that it should be John Duran who starts? And what I'm confused about is why Ollie is not match fit. As some of you said, he needs time. But why is he not up to speed is my first question. And how have Villa let this happen? I know he had a big summer. I know he played in the Euros. I know that he, I believe, got engaged, or was it married? I can't remember one or the other. I know there's lots of things in the background, but it just annoys me that he hasn't come back in the right way. And look, VFD has just said it's time for Unai to unleash John Duran. There's someone else who's saying it exactly there. Big up to Ken M, always a massive support of the channel. I know I always say this. Thank you so much, as always, Ken, for your support on the super chat. They never go amiss, and I really do appreciate it. He said he knows. Ollie knows. And I think that's the thing. Ollie knows. We know. Unai knows. He's not quite where he needs to be. Now, I know that when Ollie Watkins scores his first goal, and I hope it's sooner rather than later, when Ollie does score, we know he's going to go on a great goal scoring run. Ollie is a form player, not a purple patch player. I refuse to call him a purple patch player. Ollie is a form player. And what I mean by that is he will go on to score 6, 7 in a row once he gets that first. So for me, the first section of bad is Ollie Watkins, not just his general finishing at the weekend being bad, but just his all-round gameplay and the fact that he's not the Ollie Watkins that he knows he should be, we know he should be. That's where I'm at with it. Just coming to the comments in the chat. He definitely scored against Leicester. Love that, says Freedom. Rub P says, other players who were at the Euros also come back late and are not ready to play. But if I'm going to be really critical, Rub P, Bukayo Saka played against us. Bukayo Saka had an all right, well, I say all right, quite a good game for Arsenal. Who else I'm thinking of that in that England side? I can't really comment on Harry Kane. Phil Foden, I know he was on the bench of Man City. So you may have a fair point in that one, to be fair. I haven't really deeped it as that much. But yeah, that could be the reason, to be fair. Rachel's saying that he had an injury and no preseason work. So he needs that time to come back. Ollie will be really annoyed. Yeah, exactly that. And that's what I love about him, Rachel, is that Ollie's standards, and this is what I mean about standards, and I'm going to use this word a lot because the next point I'm going on about, these standards are not acceptable, is that Ollie's standards are going to be high. He puts himself at a high standard, rightly so as a professional. His standard of all-round gameplay. And this is the thing, even if Ollie scores those chances, against Arsenal, I think there'll still be people going, yeah, and me in particular, I go, but he's not still the Ollie we know. Those goals would just cover up his all-round performance of not being good enough. Because I can deal with Ollie Watkins not taking his chances if someone else is stepping up to scoring, which didn't happen. But for me, Ollie has always been his influence on others, his influence on Aston Villa's all-round play. The fact the boy can hold the ball up like no one else I've ever seen. The fact the boy can run a channel like I've never seen for a striker. And the fact of the matter is as well that he does draw 1 or 2 defenders with him. That's why I love Ollie Watkins. So, but yeah, big up to Gary H as well in the chat. Big up to Games Dom. And yeah, let's see what happens in the second striker problem. Michael saying, I love Watkins, but this is the pressure of current Aston Villa. Not just him, but every player has to step up or they're out. Agree. Big up Craw. Richard is saying, put your money on an Ollie hat-trick at the weekend. Absolutely love it. Absolutely. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think I may have cursed Ollie Watkins at the weekend. I did put money on him getting a brace against Arsenal, and he missed 2 chances. I did have money on Ollie Watkins scoring a brace against Arsenal, and it was probably, if you think about the 2 chances for a brace, 2 goals, it was right there. So maybe I cursed him. I won't be doing that again. Rachel won't be upset if Duran started against Leicester. Interesting. Philip Carr said, what about Saliba? That guy's an unbelievable player. Saliba, good player, but a prat is all I'm going to say. He was a prat. I'm glad John McGinn kicked the ball at him. The way he dived around and all that. But yeah, no, he was a bit of a prat, but he is an unbelievable player. And his one-on-one tackle against Jacob Ramsey, Jesus Christ, that was exceptional. That was exceptional one-on-one defending. That tackle actually was different level. Right. My second section of the bad then. My second section on bad. Okay, this isn't good enough right now, what we're experiencing at Villa. And I have to go to this tweet from Dan Bardell. Now, obviously, as someone who does watch-alongs, I obviously don't go to Villa Park as often as I used to. I've almost chosen, as I said, to do watch-alongs over going to the games. And so my game experience is from the comfort of my own room. Sometimes we've got, you know, the lovely Sky and TNT. And sometimes we've got to find dodgy streams. And that sometimes is the hardest part of probably watching from home, having a dodgy stream. But going to Aston Villa right now sounds an absolute shit show. And excuse the pun, but I'm going to show you why. They are taking the piss. Excuse the pun. I'm going to show you why. But look at this. Dan Bardell, rightly, and using his platform to the right way, has said, Aston Villa enhanced the experience for the everyday fan in the Upper Holt as promised. Football, followed by a festive feel as we wade through Urine on the way out. One of the most famous stands in the country in the concourse hasn't been touched or improved for years. Now, that, you know, is just one stand. But if you read deeper into the comments, it wasn't just the Holt end. It was the North stand. It was the Doug Ellis stand. And I'm hoping this video plays, but you will need to see this video right here that I'm about to show you, because this is just disgusting. And I'm hoping it works for you. I'm just going to try and play it now. Look at this. If you haven't seen this video, it's a TikTok made of the Holt End toilets. Take a look at this disgrace. This absolute disgrace. I'm hoping it plays.
Oh, £2,000 for these. Oh, lads, let's get these going viral.
Yeah, it's planned. It's planned.
Fucking hell. How you got your cocktail, lads? This is a fucking shambles.
So that was part one, the toilets. That was part one, the toilets. It's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. For me, I'm a big person about this. Not only football, when I go to restaurants, when I go out. A toilet facility should be used, and it has to be used for anyone in comfort, in appropriateness, and should be. You shouldn't even have to comprehend not being able to go to the toilet. Well, what Villa have just shown there is those toilet facilities are an absolute disgrace. And we are trying to be one of the biggest clubs in England and Europe. And yes, on the pitch, we're going in that direction. But off the pitch, there's still shambles after shambles after shambles. Yes, we've made a new Villa store, which is beautiful. Heidi and I went there the other week. It is beautiful. It is incredible. I love it. But you're telling me that those urinals are acceptable? I can't see it. I can't endure that. But look at this as well. This is the second part of it. Look at the queuing to get in. They have massive turnstile issues. I mean, again, those are the sort of chaos that you see at Wembley Stadium. And people go, yeah, but Josh, you see that at Wembley for the big games, the playoffs, the cup finals. You see ticket queues outside there. Okay. But that isn't good enough when that happens. We should be learning from those mistakes. The facilities at Aston Villa are not matching with what's going on the pitch. This is us on the pitch. This is us off the pitch. We want to be here. We have to be a better operation. And what hurts me the most is that fans, honest, hard-working fans, do you know how much a ticket would have been for that game as an adult if you're buying a single ticket? 75, 76 quid. That's for a single fan. There are people who paid £2,000 for their season ticket. You do not expect, as a season ticket holder, to have to walk through piss during a game. You do not expect to be queuing to get into your seat. And the worst one I saw out there is that someone's seat didn't even exist because the TV cameras were there. They had changed their seat, and it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I saw this one here as well. I'm going to quickly show you. It is unbelievable that that can happen. We have to share this. This bit, if you know, someone usually sits in central upper Doug Ellis. There are people in the wrong seats because of all the season tickets being moved around. They've made space for the 150 club. So they were turfed down to lower Doug Ellis. These new seats are in row AA. So sorry, they went from lower Doug Ellis. They decided to move season tickets to the Doug Ellis upper. So they were in lower Doug Ellis. The 150 club get those seats. They've gone to upper Doug Ellis. These new seats are in row AA. Slight problem. You can't sit in row AA because that's where the cameras are. So they've bought seats that don't exist. The stewards told them just to sit anywhere. I mean, sorry, you probably wouldn't be able to see that on the screen. That's why I read it out. But to comprehend that, someone's bought a season ticket and their seat doesn't even exist. Now, it is a brilliant time to be an Aston Villa fan. It is an incredible time to get excited about the journey we're going on this season with Champions League, with our squad, with a transfer window, with Unai Emery. But for me, it is an absolute downside to see our club not be ready off the pitch. And Villa Park was not ready for what was a massive game at the weekend, a 5:30 kickoff, under the lights, technically, Sky cameras, big game labelled early on the season. And that is the experience that we saw off the pitch. And I'm thinking, do you know what? The club that's not good enough. And you are not a toxic fan to say and slate the club. And we need to put that out there. You are not a toxic fan if you slate the club about that. Because I love what Gary H has said. Fair enough to raise prices, but not lower standards. And I completely agree on that. Raise the standards. Bring the standards higher. Because that, for me, is why Aston Villa can go in the right trajectory as a football club if that off-the-field stuff is there. So a big piece on the bad there, which is, for me, raise it. Dan C said, sounding quite toxic to me. Is it toxic, though? Is it toxic to question the club's facilities and infrastructure when people are paying their hard damn-earned money? 70 quid. 70 quid to go to that game for a single ticket. £2,000 some season ticket holders. So please, it's okay to question that. We can't just pretend everything's good, rosy, and happy. When really, would you be happy to walk through a pile of urine or not be able to piss in a urinal? I certainly wouldn't. And as I said this at the start before I went on that, I'm someone who watches games from home, does watch-alongs. My stress, as I said, is completely different. But fans deserve better because what we're doing on the pitch is bloody amazing, bloody incredible. Now let's raise it off the pitch. Absolutely a mess. So that's my bad. Ollie Watkins' all-round game performance. And, of course, bad is, for me, those facilities. But 70 quid, that's like 10 points. Yeah, exactly that. And there was it's a lot of hard-earned money for some people. That's a day's work for some people. Do you know what I mean? A day's work. 70 quid and Watkins can at a barn door. Well, that's the thing about Watkins. But I know that he's going to score against Leicester City. This is his time to shine against Leicester City, absolutely. But big up James in the chat as well. Appreciate you out here. So the final one is the Unai. What do I call the Unai? Something that's unique. Unai for me, as you probably know as well, is that elite tactician, that man who finds the minute details, the magic moments, the game changer, the things that actually not many people may think about or see. Well, my Unai moment is actually a certain player who did something that I haven't seen him do for ages. In fact, probably his best performance to date in doing so. And that's Leon Bailey. But I'm not talking about Leon Bailey attacking-wise. I'm actually talking about Leon Bailey defensively. Leon Bailey defensively was something that actually I haven't seen him do enough. And it was really refreshing to see. Bailey made some last-ditch tackles at the back post, or was in the right place at the right time defensively, and really helped young Kosta Nedejelkovic out massively. And for me, that was a real mature defensive performance from Leon Bailey, because people sometimes question Bailey, and have done, even before his fine form of vein last season. Leon Bailey was always questioned, he doesn't want it. He's not strong enough. He's not physical enough. Mentally, is he there? For me, Bailey showed actually that he, going forward... Okay, sneeze. Pardon me. Sorry, bless me. Leon Bailey defending at the back post or helping out young Kosta Nedejelkovic was absolutely a breath of fresh air. Because for me, Bailey still gave out that attacking output, was still a menace going forward, and still looked like he was going to... make something happen. But Leon Bailey defensively, I haven't seen a performance like that. And I want him doing that. I want him being able to show that. And I want him to be able to continue that development both ways. Especially now, if Kosta Nedejelkovic is going to be starting the next month. He's going to need that. I appreciate Dancy for helping that. But Adam Sky said, Bailey in the middle of the box was great to see. I loved it. I love that he could go both ways in both boxes as a winger. Old school winger, old school vibes. Absolutely love it. Gary thinks he looks a little bit overweight as well. And Jaden does that work as well too. And exactly that. And Games Done on that link of right back in terms of Lucharo. No links on that at all from what I'm aware. But Bailey go both ways is something I want him to continue. So when I talk about Unai, I'm talking about key details, key moments that sometimes will go amiss. And I don't think people recognise the defensive work that Leon Bailey did at the weekend in terms of putting a shift in, right place, right time, and doing everything that we would want our wingers to do to help him out. So, yeah. But yeah, I appreciate that. And look, it's an interesting little segment there. The good, the bad, the Unai. Lots of good going on at the weekend. There's some bad. I don't even want to... and the bad, I haven't even talked about the fact we didn't win the game. That, to me, isn't in the bad. That, to me, isn't in something that actually, is something that needs that airtime. I think I've expressed how I feel on that. But I think there are so many positives to take away from Arsenal. I cannot wait to play Leicester City this weekend as we wrap up the show tonight. It's where my head's already at. It's about Watkins scoring. It's about Villa getting a couple of goals under our belts. It's about getting 3 points again. Going then, you can go 6 points out of your first 9. Sounds good, doesn't it? It's all going to be good and groovy for me. And yeah, we've got to sort it out at home in terms of the standards and see what that is. Well, the average wage, I believe, is something like £11 or £12.33 for an adult, Adam. And if you take an average worker who does 25 hours a week, a day's work, as I said, is about the 70 quid margin of what someone could do on a day's work. So yeah, the average salary in the UK is I think for minimum wage is £11 or £12.33, something silly like that. So yeah, put that into perspective as well with the price of a ticket for a game. But I do agree we did capitulate as soon as the Trossard goal went in. It was like a deflated balloon. It just went. In fact, it wasn't even deflated. It was a pop balloon. We just popped it and it went. Yeah, Deji and I will probably try and tango at some point. We missed last week. Neither of us could get a date in the diary that I had days, he had days, he couldn't do it. But I had obviously tangoed with him on Never a Foul, and he did try and come at me about Watkins and Solanke comparisons. But we've got to tango with Deji at some point, I'm sure we will. But yeah, look, I really appreciate all the support again on the stream tonight. A bit of a last minute one we decided to do, but I thought it would be good to get out here. And appreciate everyone who has liked the video. Make sure you subscribe, get in the comments. Big love to all of you. Thank you to GameStorm, to Canem, to Vamos the VJ, to Adam Sky, to Gary H, to Dan C, to Rachel, to Jamesy Boy, big up Jamesy, Freedom Fighter, Michael, to Heidi, and to everyone else who's been watching their channel tonight. We love it, absolutely love it. And of course, as well, massive shout out again to Canem, the legend. Who knows what Canem knows as well. Take care, guys. I'll see you on the next one. And if you do get a moment, go check out the comment section on my last video that I did about the game, my raw reaction. The audio is crap, but do check out the comments. It's interesting to say the least. Take care, everyone. I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da.